West Brom 1, Liverpool 2. Alisson Becker deep in stoppage time, saving Liverpool's season, and not quite how you'd imagine. His glancing header into the back of the net, his first goal for the Reds in jest, of course. But I suppose it bears the question, what is left for this season to throw our way? Welcome to the Debrief here on the Blood Red channel. I'm your host, Guy Clark. Matt Addison and Theo Squires alongside as we bring you immediate reaction to just how Alisson Becker has kept Liverpool's Champions League hopes alive. Matt, I'll come to you first. And stoppage time, the keeper going up. I think there was a bit of conflict. We were talking before we just come on air about whether he should have gone up or not. And what a header.
Yeah, what a header. I mean, it's an absolutely brilliant finish as well, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure Big Sam won't be best pleased that he was left unmarked, but I suppose it is a goalkeeper, isn't it? It's a risk that West Brom chose to take. But yeah, I mean, what a moment. It's one of the Premier League moments, I think, in terms of the importance, the timing of it, the whole sort of way around it. It's something that we are going to talk about for years to come because it's just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, this season, as you say, has thrown up thing after thing after thing that you just think, no, that can't be real. But this is 10 times the event. I think that even Liverpool losing 7-2 at Aston Villa. I mean, this is just a ridiculous level. And yeah, wow. Well, I mean, what more can you say about it? Really, to be honest, it's one of those. Liverpool had to win pretty much, but possibly they could have just about got away with a draw, depending on what happens. But yeah, a win. I mean, if that can't give you confidence a couple of days after going to Manchester United and winning there, I mean, I honestly don't know what can, because it felt like it had gone. It felt like Liverpool had just run out of ideas. And yeah, the absolute last person that you'd expect to be finishing a goal like that has popped up with an absolutely enormous one.
It did feel like it, didn't it, Theo, that things were beginning to ebb away. And as we were saying, the conflict being that you go up and get caught on a counter and then concede a goal and lose 2-1. And that definitely is probably the Champions League race over for Liverpool. But Alisson Becker, he goes up. It's a brilliant header as well. It's not just a fluky header into the back of the net. He's glanced it into the far corner. It is one of the moments of the season. And it felt as though the game and the result had followed the pattern of the season. Go and win at Old Trafford and then fluff your lines away at West Brom.
Yeah, I think we said that on Friday's pod, didn't we? It'd be such a Liverpool thing to do to get that victory at Old Trafford and then to bottle it against Sam Allardyce's team. But then Liverpool without Van Dijk this season have been pretty atrocious when it comes to set pieces. Like Doyley's tweeted before, if Liverpool score from a corner in this, he's going to buy KFC. And obviously he's going to buy KFC anyway. But just making the fact that they've been woeful at set pieces. Like we had the one against Spurs, Firmino, when was it Tim Sherwood had egg on his face. But apart from that, there hasn't been anything at all. Like you think, at least Nat Phillips is in there. He can win a few headers. And to be fair to him, he does win a few headers, but he's not come close to scoring or anything. He's had a few in this one where he's leaning back and he's headed it over or he's headed it wide. And then for Alisson to nick it off his forehead at the end and score a brilliant header. I'm sure you'll get some of the old football purists moaning that there's not defenders on the line or anything and there's no one marking him. But yeah, it's just a bizarre moment. Like, it's not one I even celebrate. I'm just there laughing. It's like, what the hell? I texted my mate when Alisson was going up, going, oh, come on, we're not that desperate. Granted, it is must win. But when you look at the two games that are left for the other teams, Chelsea and Leicester taking points off each other, with the Champions League finals to come for Chelsea, with Leicester now having a potential FA Cup hangover, they could easily drop points and Liverpool would have been fine with a draw today. When you've got those two safety blankets there, you don't need to be sending your keeper up. And it is a bugbear for some people seeing keepers go up. So for Alisson to just go, yeah, go on then, I fancy it, and then go and score a goal like that, it's mad. Like, first goalkeeper to score in Liverpool's history. It's just something we've never seen, and we'll probably never see again. Like, I remember when we had Pepe Reina in goal, people were thinking, oh, he might score from one of his kicks one day. You never expect it to actually happen from a set piece, and to be last minute fairy tale moment. And you think Alisson's season this year as well, losing his dad in tragic circumstances, he's had a few dodgy moments. Well, if Liverpool don't get Champions League now, it's like, what was the point of that moment? Like, surely this means it's in the stars for him. If they can get the 3 points from the goalkeeper scoring a last-minute winner to keep it in their hands, it's got to be happening. What else is going to go against him now?
No, for sure. I think it'll be goal of the season, as you say. Just such a great moment. With so many people commenting, saying someone's broken a toe celebrating. Someone else says they've lost their voice. Their neighbours think he's gone mad. I know we try and keep it as professional as we can, Matt, but did your head fall off?
Yeah, I mean, I was just the same as Theo, to be honest. You just sort of sat there going, Has that happened? Look, it's not the first time this season, but as Theo says, for it to be Alisson as well, with what he's been through, I know an interview he's done with Sky Sports, just as we've been on here, has sort of put that across, and he's apparently been very poignant in his words, which is just an amazing moment for him. And there's just not really anything you can say. It's just such a ridiculous circumstance for it to come down to this. I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto the game in a couple of minutes, and Liverpool should never have left it that late. They should never have put themselves in that position. But look, take nothing away from him. It's a brilliant header, a brilliant moment, and yeah, it's going to take a long time, I think, for Liverpool fans to calm down. Well, certainly until they play Burnley and Crystal Palace later this week.
In normal times, that would have been right in front of the away end at the Hawthorns as well. But I think it is one of those moments that has transcended across Liverpool supporters, and just the sheer joy of what it all means. This wretched season, fans out of grounds, the home form having gone absolutely awry, injuries all over the place, looking as though Champions League football may not have been a possibility for when fans do return. And then Alisson Becker comes up with that. Absolutely unbelievable, fantastic stuff for Liverpool. And well, Theo, they needed it, quite frankly. Let's talk a bit about the game, because other than that, they were pretty rubbish.
Yeah, like they've had moments there, but there was always an extra touch in the final third, or the wrong decision being made, or the ball getting stuck under feet. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's had that shot where he's cut inside and hammered it over the crossbar. He's been leaning back. Gini Wijnaldum probably should hit the target with his. Thiago's been denied by a wonder save. Mane's missed a good chance. Firmino's missed a good chance. But you're still not thinking there in the game Liverpool should be miles ahead, because they weren't at their best. Robson-Kanu's got in behind them countless times, and it's just another one of those days. And it's in the season they've had one of those where you wouldn't be surprised if they drop points. They've had a big let-off with the VAR goal. And I know it's going to be one of those things where people say keeper's being blocked, that guy is offside. But then at the same time, the timing of the run, like you can watch that 100 times, and I'd imagine 50 times it's given, 50 times it's not.
I have to say, just on that, a couple of points to make, I think, is I don't think Alisson's reactions as good as they were for flicking that header into the back post from that corner. Even his reactions, I don't think he's getting there after that touch, because the ball didn't travel very far. I think it was Ajayi maybe who won the header, and Bartley who got the touch. I don't think Alisson could react regardless of whether Phillips is in front of him or not. But also, Matt, I think the big point, a lot of people will talk about it being a VAR issue. And yes, VAR will have had to have looked at it, but on field, the flag did go up. So if we scrap VAR, if that wasn't a thing, Liverpool would have been very lucky regardless and got away with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they were lucky in the sense that, you know, the player was just stood in the wrong place at the wrong time, but it was offside. I mean, as you say, the lino puts his flag up because he asks Mike Dean, you know, where was Matt Phillips stood? Was he in line? If he was, he's offside, and he puts the flag up. I mean, they're fortunate in the sense that it wasn't by design. It was just by pure chance that Matt Phillips was in the line of Alisson, but it was offside, and Liverpool got away with it on that occasion. But I think for me, the way that they should have sort of won it and kind of get away with it with the Alisson goal was more the missed chances. It's been the story of Liverpool's season. It sort of felt like it was heading down that route again, as Theo listed off the names there before. I mean, it pretty much every player missed a chance, didn't they? I thought Thiago was brilliant at creating them today, but just didn't quite get that final touch for the ball to go in until obviously Alisson pops up at the end. But yeah, for me, it was fortunate, I suppose, in the sense that Liverpool could have gone behind then, but at the same time, it was by the letter of the law offside. And on the balance of play, I don't think you can really argue with Liverpool winning that game. I think they deserved it on the sort of balance of things and the way that they created chances. But yeah, we've seen that so many times this season where they've had chance after chance after chance, missed them all, and then lost 1-0. So yeah, that's the positive, isn't it? It's that time of the season. You just have to win. However you win, I don't think anybody predicted that this would happen, but it's happened, and that's all that matters.
It's almost a shame it's not last day of the season. I can imagine if that was Palace in front of the Kop, needing that goal to qualify for the Champions League. We've sort of gone too early. Still got 2 games to clinch it.
Yeah, I think people will take it regardless of how it comes. I was going to say, I know Pep Guardiola often says that he might think about letting Ederson loose on penalties, but if Liverpool are struggling to score from corners this season, as you said, Theo, maybe it is a case of lash Alisson up there a bit more often. He's got the height, certainly. He's got the finesse too as well. But in terms of things then for Liverpool, and talking about the missed chances then, Theo, was Jurgen Klopp right to have benched Sadio Mane at Old Trafford? And he came back in today And he did have a few sighters of goal, but he never really looked composed and confident to get on the end of them. And I suppose when he reacts as he does, a lot of people say we're blowing sort of making a big deal out of this. But I suppose when he reacts like he does, when he does get put back in the team, he needs to prove what he's all about. He missed the one-on-one at Old Trafford when he came off the bench, and he missed a number of opportunities today.
Yeah, but that's just his season. Like I think we've said before, I don't think it was necessarily disrespect to Jurgen Klopp in midweek. I think it was more frustration at himself. Like if he'd been having a good season and it was just one game where he's been rotated, granted it's like one of the biggest games of the season, I don't think he reacts the way he does. It's just the way it's been. Like it's frustrating for all the players out there. And he's not played badly. Like, granted, he's not had the best of games and he's had a few chances he's missed, but he's still in probably the best purple patch he's had since the start of the season. Like, he scored a couple in recent weeks. He's creating chances, which is more than he was doing, say, a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Like, remember Real Madrid away, where he had probably his worst game in the Liverpool shirt and he could do nothing right. Whereas here, he was unlucky not to score. He was involved. There was link-up play between the front three. And it was just one of those where it wasn't quite clicking, but that has happened in this season countless times, not just to Liverpool, not just to Sadio Mane, it's all the teams and all the players. It's just one of those things. But then we've had this moment from Alisson. You wouldn't bet against Mane going and popping up and scoring the goal that does book Champions League football on the last day. But he's been unlucky today. And it is a sort of response. But it's not one where you can make an issue out of what has happened with Jurgen Klopp and saying, oh, he's let his manager down there. Because regardless of that, after Diogo Jota's out for the season, he's not exactly not going to play Mane, is he? He's not going to go, right, you showed me this reaction on Thursday night, so Divock Origi starts instead of you. He was probably going to start anyway, but that made it sure for him. And like I said, there were glimpses there from the front three, and it's just one of those seasons where they've not all been fully synced all season. But there are signs there that they are slowly finding it, like Firmino scoring twice in midweek, Mane getting a couple in recent weeks. And hopefully it's coming together at the right time before they can have a full summer off and then just hit the ground running next year and it'll be back to normal almost.
Yeah, hope that can be the case. So then, Liverpool now on to 63 points, 2 games left to go. Of course, they're 1 point behind Chelsea in fourth. Goal difference is one worse than Chelsea, but it is equal with Leicester City, who are 3 points ahead of Liverpool. All eyes then on Stamford Bridge on Tuesday. Matt, when Leicester go to Chelsea, not similar time, a few game weeks earlier in the season, it was all eyes on Stamford Bridge last season, and Chelsea ended up doing Liverpool a favour with what happened against Man City, of course, and gifting the title to Liverpool. But it is now going to be a case of this next week, all eyes on every game that is to come regarding those in the hunt for fourth place. And as I say, it begins on Tuesday at Stamford Bridge, a rerun of the FA Cup final. And I suppose if Leicester can repeat what they did at Wembley yesterday, then Liverpool really will be in the box seat.
Yeah, that's it. I think it helps that they're playing obviously the day before Liverpool play. Liverpool will know exactly what they have to do in their final couple of games. So, yeah, I think that's important. It's obviously one to watch, but you have to remember that it doesn't really change anything in terms of as long as Liverpool win their 2 games, they should pretty much be there. I know it can still come down to goal difference and it can still be impacted by that, but I think if you offered Liverpool 2 victories now, I think they'd take it because I think that will be enough. So for Liverpool, it's just about doing their own job. I mean, they can't obviously expect Alisson to pop up at the 95th minute or whatever it is for the final 2 games. So they are going to have to improve in terms of their attacking and their finishing. Certainly, you'd imagine that Burnley would be a similar-ish game to West Brom. They're not going to be overly adventurous. They've probably got a little bit more quality in attack. But I think for Liverpool, it's a case of it being a very, very similar game, really. I think if they play similar in terms of their build-up play, but just finish a little bit better, they'll be absolutely fine. But it's a huge week, isn't it? This was the perfect start, I think, in terms of it coming late. It should give everyone confidence, give everyone a lift. But now they've just got to go and finish the job and get 2 more victories. 2 more victories, I think, should be enough.
Yeah, definitely. And they know, Theo, that they're going to have to do it without Diogo Jota. Not much in terms of reinforcements on the bench today, but two more efforts, 2 more 3 points delivered. And as Matt says, that should be enough.
You'd hope so, but then this season, stranger things have happened, haven't they? It's one where Liverpool have just got to focus on their own job. But even if they do bottle it, you just don't know what's going to happen. Like we've been saying week on week, I can't call who's going to finish in the top 4. Our opinions are changing week on week. Like, I know me and Matt will just do opposite opinions, don't we? Every time you ask us if Liverpool are going to get in the top 4, just because you can't call it. Like with this Tuesday game, Are Leicester going to have an FA Cup final hangover? Are Chelsea going to be desperate for revenge? Or is that going to give them a real confidence to get top 4? Are they going to have this mental impact of last year where they threw it away and that's going to play its part again? Obviously, they've got a big game last day of the season as well against Tottenham. We all know how unpredictable Tottenham are. And then Chelsea. So are you fully going for Champions League final, or are you going for 4th? There's so many things that come into play, and it's all about mentality. And when the mentality is different this year without fans, it's been strange. But then you throw them back in for these last 2 games of the season. That can change everything. Like Liverpool in front of their own fans last day of the season, having beaten Palace 7-0 earlier in the year, you reckon that's a sure thing. They should get that done. But then Chelsea, when they've got that Champions League final distraction, going to Aston Villa with fans, that makes that a completely different proposition. And it's one where you have to just take it game by game, and you don't know what's going to happen. And like Matt said, if Liverpool can win these 2 games, it should be enough. But then with fans back in stadiums, who's to say there's not going to be a crazy victory somewhere for someone to really get the goal difference up? It's just a mad season. And I'm almost glad, well, actually, I am glad that we're in the last week of it now. Let's get it out of the way. Fans coming back, and then we can just go again next year. Virgil van Dijk back. Alisson up for every corner, scoring last-minute winners every week. We can go back to normality, and Liverpool.
Yeah, that's normality. Yeah,
and Liverpool can go for titles again. But yeah, it's just one of those seasons, and I think the 95th minute here has just shown it, hasn't it?
Yeah, the new normal, Alisson Becker scoring headers from the corners. But that's it from us here for this edition of the Debrief on the Blood Red channel. Stick with us. Jurgen Klopp's reaction to that 95th minute header from Alisson on its way here on the Blood Red channel. His full post-match press conference to come. So too Sam Allardyce's. I'm sure he will have taken it well. But from myself, Guy Clark, Matt Addison and Theo Squires, thanks for your time and your company. It's bye for now.